right, next, another really controversial question. I get asked this a lot on my channel about women's modesty and the hijab.
I just think that it's misinterpreted, and I think it's overplayed. There's no forcing or anything like that. First of all,
oh, there's no forcing. So what do we mean by forcing hijab? Is it optional? Is hijab, is modesty optional? Not only for women, but also men. And again, hijab doesn't mean just a cloth that you use to cover your head. It's an entire system of modesty, haya. Is this optional? No, it's not optional in the sense that if you don't do it, there's a punishment. You're liable to be punished for that. Will Allah punish you? Allahu alam. Allah knows best because he can forgive sins. But you are liable to for punishment, whether male or female. So the fact that there is a punishment means it's not optional. It's not mubah. Something that's mubah, like different rulings that different actions have different rulings. There's 5 different ahkam rulings. Something could be haram, it could be makruh, it could be mubah, meaning permissible. It could be mustahab, meaning preferable, or it's something that if you do it, you'll get rewarded, but if you don't do it, you won't be punished. And then there's something that is wajib, required, compulsory, fard, meaning you have to do it, and if you don't do it, you'll be punished for not doing it. These are the 5 ahkam, and you study it in usul al-fiqh or fiqh in general. So things that are optional, there's the main category of things that are optional are what are mubah, what is permissible. So for example, do I want to wear a gray shirt, or do I want to wear a blue shirt, or do I want to wear a red shirt? Or these are things that can be optional. I have a choice. That's optional. I'm not going to be rewarded, or I'm not going to be punished for either decision, any decision that I make in that regard. But not everything is like that. So hijab is not something that is optional. It's something that you can be punished. You're liable for punishment if you do not do it. If you do not do it. So that is forced. It doesn't mean that someone's going to attack you and force you, at least not in the West, at least because here you're not allowed. But in an Islamic system, in an Islamic country, yes, the Muslim father does have the right to force his family members. That's part of his authority, to force his family members to cover themselves and to be modest. That's what a patriarch is. That's what a patriarch has the right to do. That comes with his authority. And if he doesn't do that, then he is in a dereliction of duty. He is being deficient in his role as a patriarch because he's allowing his women folk to be loose, to go around loose. And that's to their detriment, that's to his detriment, that's to the family's detriment, that's to the community's detriment, that's to the ummah's detriment, that's for the world's detriment. That's why it's important to have a strong patriarch. And that all has to do with force. That all has to do with force.
this whole issue of hijab, what does it mean? Hijab means to cover something that is valuable.
So women are valuable?
Well, of course they are. They're the most valuable of the species. Women are more valuable than men. Why do you put money in the bank? For it to be secured. The most valuable things in the world that people put value to, gold, diamonds, pearls, whatever you want to call it, where do you find it? Whoever has wealth, they secure it. And so everything that's of really value needs to be secured, needs to be covered because of its value. And the most valuable of the species are women.
Wow.
So if he means like biologically women are the most valuable, yes, you know, that there is a basis to that. Because your ability to perpetuate as a society has to do with your ability to reproduce. And that is limited by the number of wombs that exist, meaning the number of women who exist. So you can have one man, you can wipe out all the men in a society, but keep all of the women the same. And then you have like one or two men and they can repopulate the entire population, just one or two men. But the converse is not true. If all the women are wiped out and the men are, you know, exactly as they are, that's a disaster. That society is going to die out within a generation. So that's, in a biological sense, it's correct. The women do have this kind of reproductive value above men. Obviously, we know, like in a metaphysical sense, a spiritual sense, men and women are equal in their spiritual value. As we've discussed, in the sight of God, if you do good deeds, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you're not going to get bonus points for being a woman or bonus points for being a man. So spiritual equality, yet he's maybe talking about reproductive value of women being higher than men. Fine, no problem with that. But the analogy, look at the analogy. Women are so valuable. They're like gold and diamonds. And then, you know, women hearing that, yes, we're just so amazing. I'm just so wonderful. I'm just such a queen. You just have to take care of me and give me everything that I want and let me do whatever I want. No. You didn't hear him. He said, secure it. I don't let my gold and my diamonds out in the streets. I lock it up. I secure it. You missed that part of the analogy, bro. You missed that part of the analogy, my queen. I got to lock you up. Right? Well, let's be consistent here, sisters. Let's be consistent. You want to be the gold and you want to be the diamonds. Well, there are certain restrictions there. You can't be loose on the streets. You got to be locked up. So, I mean, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Obviously, women, you know, can leave the house given if there's permission from the husband. But permission from the husband is required. Always remember that. That's part of the Islamic gender roles and part of the marriage contract. And unfortunately, some women don't take this seriously. You should not leave the house unless your husband has given you permission, like explicitly or tacit permission, because that's just known that you will go out on certain days. You have certain errands to run. You have to take the kids to the library. You have to take the kids to to school. You have to go. You want to meet some friends. You want to go have some fun. Maybe you want to go out to eat. And it's understood, like your husband tacitly approves. It's safe for you to do so. But if your husband does not want you to leave and he doesn't want you to go to a certain place, then you have to obey him. You have to obey him. Now, there are some conditions on that because he can't restrict you from seeing your family. He can't restrict you from something that you need, like maybe health-wise. You have to go somewhere, like to a doctor's appointment, or you have to go to the hospital, or you have some need, some urgent need. So there are details here. There are details here. But, that is the right that he has as a husband. We have to teach it, And I feel sorry for you if you have to learn your Islam from Hijab show. I feel sorry because other people should be teaching you this, but I don't really see this lesson being taught. And it leads to all kinds of dhulm, injustice, because women are violating the rights of their husband. When you agreed to that act, to that marriage contract, and you were married in the sight of Allah and the sight of God, you made a solemn oath, a solid agreement. You accepted his marriage proposal. That binds you. That's a contract. So you have to fear Allah with respect to that contract. And if you violate that contract, you're violating his rights. So it becomes up to him to forgive you. It becomes up to him. It's not even, Allah says that he has to forgive you because you violated his rights that you have agreed to in the contract. So be aware of that because you'll have to pay the price on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And maybe he doesn't want to forgive you your violations of his rights. He takes your good deeds and he dumps his sins onto you, and that sinks you into the pit of the fire. Beware, women, beware.
So Almighty God in his wisdom has said, "O Muhammad, tell the believing women that when they go out from their homes, that they should cover themselves and not allow their ornaments to be seen." What's their ornaments? Well, obviously, a man's chest is not an ornament. Now, women are not so much turned on just like that because they see the chest of a man. But the breast of a woman? Wow. You know what I mean? Yeah. You see a man walking down the street, you understand me? He's an athlete, you understand me? He's got on some track shorts or something like that. It's really no big deal, you know what I'm saying? But if you see a woman with really extra tight pants on, and she's got a real nice shape and all that, I mean, it's like, wow, all the eyes are going to follow. I mean, we can just go on and on and on that the wisdom of God is set where the aesthetics of human beings are already in. God knows, so he tells, let them cover their ornaments. This is what God says. Did you see anybody whistle for a woman that's fully covered? No. Secondly, did you see anybody say, "Hey, sweetheart, hey, baby," to a nun? No. Why? Because they're covered. And just when people see something that's covered, they have a second thought. It sort of mitigates that kind of reaction. And so, again, we have to go back to who knows best?
Yeah, again, it's just there's nothing wrong with what he is saying in terms of the content. Maybe I won't put it in those words, or maybe, we can raise some issues about decorum when you're talking like in that kind of setting with opposite sex. Okay, fine. Point taken. But again, just going back to this theme, it's all about women, we have to be concerned about their feelings, but what about the feelings of men? Because men have jealousy. A healthy man has ghira, has this kind of protective jealousy. And for a woman to show herself, she's violating the man. She's violating her husband. She's violating her father. She's violating her brother. Those male members of her family also have rights, and she's violating that. So it's not just about her. Right? We have to have a accurate understanding of what is involved when there's immodest behavior, or Allah forbid it, zina, fornication or adultery. Like, this is something that affects people's rights. And that's why the regulations that Allah puts in place when it comes to modesty, covering, gender mixing, this is for the protection of everyone's rights, human rights. And we have to reframe these topics instead of just constantly talking about what is going to make women happy, what women are going to enjoy, what makes them most comfortable, etc. That's a partial framing at best.